Go.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Isabella.
And this is our Honors American Lit class.
And last time we read our first 25 pages of The Things They Carry.
Now we're going to get a little refresher from Miss Juskaitis.
20 years after he served in the Vietnam War, I think what's really important for us to note is that it took him this long. It took him 20 years after the war for Tim O'Brien to actually. Why do you think it took him so long to write this, which we would consider a personal memoir?
He might have had to take some time after the war to kind of reassimilate into American society. You don't just come back from a war and write a book right away.
Right. Well, also he couldn't write it right after because there was a lot of controversy over the war.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to be a successful book, he probably thought he should wait.
Knows that he probably had the idea of the book before, but because the way he remembers what everything weighted and stuff, so he probably just had the idea way earlier, and then the book came out 20 years later.
I think another reason why it could have taken him so long was the fact that it was really a personal narrative, and although it's kind of like a memoir almost, he has he has these things in his head and they're arranged a certain way, but I bet he was really constantly second guessing himself about what order to put things in or how he wanted to convey his personal thoughts to definitely an outside audience.
Okay, good. Okay, so this is what I want to talk to you guys about. Because this book is under the genre called metafiction. Sorry, I put that on my... Okay. So later on we're going to read the lyrics to, who knows who that is?
Credence.
Yeah, CCR. Very good. And, of course. And so we'll read the lyrics to that. It's called Fortunate Son, and it talks a lot about the idea of having a silver spoon in your hand and being a senator's son and not having and then being a millionaire and not having to be the one go to war. But I want to talk about metafiction. So I'm going to pass this out. This is kind of like if you wanted to follow along in terms of characters, because there's so many characters that are introduced into the Things They Carry. This can help you sort of organize your thoughts, but I want you to flip it over to the back where it has information about metafiction. I typed this up here because to me this is sort of the essence of what it really is. You guys are talking a lot about how he needs to get his story straight, he needs to remember in memories of the past, he needs to maybe chronologically think about how things happened. This is what I want to pose to you. This is why I think this is a fascinating read, is metafiction, this genre of literature, is a combination of the happening truth versus the story truth, okay? So, did these stories happen? What do you think?
I think that a lot of them, probably something really close to them happened, but I don't think it's word for word in any way.
Right. So, and then he has what's called the story truth. So a lot of these stories, to a certain degree, happened in some capacity. But again, 20 years ago. So he had to do what was called the story truth and create a story that we as readers and an audience who know nothing about the war, who've not experienced the war, could actually maybe find an emotional connection and understand. Great quote, I think that kind of is very telling. Those who have had any such experiences as the author will see its truthfulness at once. Okay, so anybody who's experienced a war will be like, yes, this is the truth. And to all other readers, it is commended as a statement of actual things by one who experienced them to the fullest. You guys get it? Okay. All right, and so, there's no better person to talk about the book than the author himself. So I have a 7-minute video by Tim O'Brien. It's an interview, and it's just great. It's just going to help us understand sort of his message, which he says it's, what?
I just looked in and realized he was videotaping.
Oh, it's the medium. He says, you guys, this is really important. He says the medium is the message. And so when people read this and they're like, well, what do you want to get out of this book? And what is he really trying to? They have things of superstition, right? But the stuff that I want to talk about would be like the emotional stuff, the non-tangible stuff. what were some of the things that they talked about?
Memories, fear.
Fear? Yeah. So here, you guys do this.
Guilt.
Take out your books. I'm going to ask for a couple of you guys to just read. The Harkness clip. So I film it, I put it in here, and then I can drag it down to where I want it to be, which is probably going to be the
it'll
very
record over what you're saying.
Okay.
So from right there, that's
not-
where it's going to start. So this is all where the voiceover is going to be.
Is it recording right now over this?
Yeah, it's recording. So